Alright, hello global minions out there. This video is just going to give you a rundown of the rubric that the Regents uses to grade your DBQ essays. The purpose, what we're going to do at the end of this video in class is once you write your DBQ essay, you've already done the documents and you're done writing the essay, what I'm going to ask you to do is to grade your own essay based on this rubric. And so what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to take elements from this rubric and explain to me why you deserve a certain grade, whether that be a 5, 4, 3, 2, or 1. As long as you didn't hand me in a blank sheet of paper, you should not be giving yourself a 0, okay? And this is in no way going to be used to grade, like my grade in the grade book. So don't be afraid that if you really think you got a 2, don't be afraid to tell me you think you got a 2 because of, you know, whatever elements in here that you think you fall under. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through all the different categories, okay, and I'm going to explain to you how you achieve certain things on this rubric instead of taking up class time doing it, okay? This shouldn't take too long, a few minutes. If you pay attention, you can pause me, rewind me at any time if you don't understand a certain category. Jot down any questions, as always, that you have and bring them to class, okay? So the way that the Regents does it is it's a scale from 5 down to 1, 5 being the best, 1 being you wrote something but it really stinks. So there's these different categories. So I'm going to look at this one in particular, okay, this category here across the board. And so what this category is asking is, did you answer all the bullets? Okay, so why don't we write that right in this category? This has to do with the bullets in the task. Okay, and so what I'm talking about is when you look at the task on a DBQ, okay, it gives you a set of things to complete. And so what this column, or this row I should say, is asking is, did you complete all those bullets to the best of their standard, okay? And so to get a 5, you would develop all the aspects of the task, meaning all the bullets, whether it's 2 or 3, evenly and in depth, meaning you answered the first bullet just as much as you answered the second bullet, and usually for both topics, because remember it's usually 2 topics, okay? So did you do it evenly and in depth? To get a 4, which is also still very good, is did you develop all aspects of the tasks, but maybe you did so somewhat unevenly. So let's say it's a question, you know, it's a DBQ about Martin Luther and Gandhi and some other person you never heard of. And you know a whole heck of a lot about Martin Luther, but you really can't remember the details of Gandhi, but you remembered enough that it was pretty solid. Okay, that would be a 4, that you really nailed it on Martin Luther, pun. But you really kind of fell short on Gandhi, but you still had enough to get by. Okay? 3 being in the middle, you developed all aspects of the task, meaning you answered all the bullets, but you really didn't give enough details or depth to those bullets to really get more than a 3. Okay? So if that same DBQ with Martin Luther and Gandhi, maybe you gave some details about 95 Theses and Protestants, but that was about it. And for Gandhi, same kind of thing. You mentioned the Salt March, you mentioned partitioning, and that was kind of the end of it. Okay, so not a lot of details going on here. For a 2, meaning you minimally, this could go 2 different ways. Same with a 3, it could go 2 different ways. For 2, you could develop all aspects of the task very minimally, meaning you're giving 1 or 2 details about each one, or you're developing some aspects of the task in some depth, okay? So maybe you give some details about Martin Luther that are pretty good, but you don't write anything about Gandhi. That would get you a 2, okay? A 1 minimally develops some aspects of the task. So maybe you wrote like 1 detail about Martin Luther and that was about it, okay? So this all has to do with answering those bullets. The second one, probably the most important, that's going to put those of you that have been getting or will be getting 2s, 3s, and 4s, the biggest thing that's going to stand in your way between a 4 and a 5 is this one right here, okay? More analytic than descriptive, okay? And analyze, which I want you to write in here, which I will also write, analyze means to tell why something is important. So to tell why something is important, okay? And so I'll just give you a quick example of the difference between analyzing and describing. Analyzing, well, let me back up. If you're watching a basketball game on TV or a soccer game or whatever it is, and the announcer is going play by play, okay, you know, so-and-so shoots the ball to so-and-so, they shoot for a basket, they make a two-pointer, so-and-so gets the rebound, that's describing. Okay, that's being descriptive. You are giving the details play by play of that game. Okay, when you take it a step further would be when they have the halftime show or intermission or whatever it is, and they give you a rundown. They use statistics to tell you why a certain outcome is probable. They tell you, oh, this player in the past has this shooting record, and so on. Okay, so they're giving you some context. They're going a step further and creating information, maybe predicting the outcome. Okay, so when you look at analyzing in a DBQ essay, you're not just giving a play-by-play and copying from the documents. You are then going a step further and telling why something is important. What effects did Martin Luther have on Europe after he posted his 95 Theses, okay? How did he change the landscape of Europe? Something to that effect, okay? And so this row is pretty easy to say between one and the other, between a 5 and a 4 and a 4 and a 3. 5 is more analyzing. Doesn't mean you're not describing, just means you're doing mostly analyzing. In a 4, you're doing both describing and analyzing. In 3, you're describing more than you're analyzing. You might have 1 or 2 pieces of analysis, but you're mostly telling a description. 2, you're mostly descriptive, probably no analyzing. You might have attempted it, which is good, but you're mostly describing. And a 1 would be all description. Okay? That one's pretty easy for you to look at your paper. And I'm going to ask you, if I can remember, that when you write your essay, I want you to underline where you think you're analyzing. Because sometimes students think they're analyzing and they're not quite there. It's a hard concept to understand. Okay, down to the next one. This is going to vary from essay to essay depending on the one that you're looking at. But it means, are you using all the documents that the DBQ wants you to? Okay, and it doesn't mean just copying. This is where we get kind of not so, what do I want to say? We get bogged down in just copying 4 documents, if that's what it's asking, when really we have to go a step further and explain why the information is important. So to get a 5, you would use all the required documents. Let's just pretend it's 4. Okay, so we would use all 4 documents, but not only copying them, telling why it's important. Okay, so let's put that in there. Need to explain the documents, not just copy. Okay? And so this one would be, if we're imagining it's 4 documents, this one would be you explained information from 3. This would be you incorporate some, maybe 1 or 2. And a 2, if you simply copy from the documents, in this row you cannot get higher than a 2. Okay, so if you just copied word for word what's in the documents, you cannot get higher than a 2, even if you used all the required documents. Okay? 1 would be you don't use any information, or it's kind of unclear if you are using information from the documents. One more note on this, the Regents is not like this, but I'm going to be a big pain in your butt, is you need to cite the documents. Okay, so please write this down. I know it's in your writing folder, but please write it down now. Cite the documents, whether that's in parentheses or not. Okay, just one way or the other you have to. Okay? Alright, moving right along. Down here, incorporates relevant outside information. We know outside information equals anything related not in the documents. Okay, and so are you including it? Substantial means a lot. This one would be still quite a bit, but not substantial. This one would be not very much. This would be little or none. This would be none. Okay, so outside information, hugely important. Richly supports the theme with many relevant facts, examples, and details. Okay, again, just look at these buzzwords about the difference. Okay, richly. This one doesn't have richly, so that would be a few less. Okay, some, meaning not a lot, not a little, just some. This one has few, Okay, and this one says may include inaccuracies, this one inaccuracies, meaning maybe you just said the wrong date or the wrong name. Okay, lastly, pretty easy, all of you will get a 5 on this one if you just follow my formula of taking the bullets and making them into paragraphs. So demonstrates a logical and clear plan of organization, including an introduction and a conclusion that are beyond a restatement of the theme. So rewording the theme or the historical context is hugely important, okay? And to get a 5, just did your outline, did the way you set up your essay make sense? And if it didn't, then you would be down on this end, okay? If you do not have a introduction or a conclusion, the highest that you can get is a 2, and that's if you're missing just one or the other, doesn't matter. And to get in this 4 to 3 range, they're pretty much saying the exact same thing, so I tend to go higher, okay? Any questions? I hope that you wrote them down. Remember, you're going to be grading yourself, and you need to give at least a few reasons why you deserve the grade that you gave your essay. Okay? Okay. Thanks for listening.